As we come together in community in this virtual space, we are very aware of all which we have had to let go, not the least of which, at the most basic level, coming into physical presence with one another. As we light our own candles, if we choose to represent the chalice of our community, we are mindful of the sacred time of coming together on our shared journey of discovery of that which remains essential after we have had to let go of so much. Andy will light the chalice. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope as a sign for our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we shared together. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind you to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing with Mary or Jan and allow yourself to raise your voices in joy and song. So let's all sing the opening hymn, Gather the Spirit, number 347.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Gather the Spirit, harvest the flower, our sacred fires will kindle one flame, witness the mystery of this hour, our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by a moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We are glad you have joined us today. As a Unitarian Universalist community, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a laid congregation inviting speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest to our community that connect us with the 7 principles. Today's service centers around the 3rd principle. We affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. Spiritual growth isn't about a vertical ascent to heaven, but about growth in every dimension at once. It's spirituality in 3D. Growth in spirit doesn't measure one's proximity to a God above, but rather the spaciousness of one's own soul, its volume, its capacity, its size. We need souls that can take in the world in all its complexity and diversity, yet still maintain our integrity. And we need souls that can love and be in relationship with all of this complexity. Instead of fight or flight, we need a spiritual posture of embrace. My name is Diane DeMarco, and I am your worship associate this morning. And I would like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you joined us this morning under these challenging circumstances. And if you are a guest and would like to introduce yourself, please raise your Zoom hand and unmute yourself when Susan calls your name.
Susan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Susan Dixon, and I'm Diane DeMarco's sister from Thousand Oaks, California. And I try to see every Michael Esselin sermon I can see.
Thank you, Susan. Welcome. And those are all our visitors who would like to introduce themselves. Back to you, Diane.
Thank you, Susan. If you are not on our mailing list, please visit our website at www.uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all of our activities. And please check out What's Happening, a weekly e-blast sent to all of our members and friends. This is a great way to keep up with the latest news in our community. Oh, and a reminder, if you wish to see this or any of our past Zoom services again, recordings of these services can be found on the UUCC website and Facebook as well. The membership committee invites non-members to consider becoming a member of our community. Please contact Janet Cooper or a board member if you are interested. Thank you. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. Let us now recite the affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. We set aside this time for any short announcements that would be of interest to our UU community members and friends. Please keep your items short and to the point. For any items that need more explanation, please call or email the person after the service to be respectful of everyone's time. If you have an announcement, please raise your Zoom hand by clicking on the raise hand button in the reactions icon. When Susan calls your name, please unmute yourself and then speak. Jan.
Yes, am I here? I'm here. Okay, thank you. I'm part of the scholarship committee along with Chris Fox and Robert Wilkinson and Lou Patelka and Rebecca and Marianne. And we had our scholarship interviews Thursday. Yes, it was Thursday. And we've picked our top 5 people. We have $5,000 allocated for the scholarship fund, but there are 7 that we really want to give scholarships to. So if you would like to donate or make a donation to the scholarship fund so we can accommodate more than our quota of 5, please do so. Make the checks out to UUCC, but put in the memo box for the scholarship fund. Thank you. These kids they were just fabulous. I wish we could give scholarships to all of them, but we can't. So thank you.
And I
right.
believe Andy also had an announcement.
Hi, everybody. Actually, two. The first one is brief. My wife Mimi and I have had good fortune helping people get registered for vaccines online. We know it's a complicated process and some people are just daunted by it. So if you need a little help, I know they're switching to a lottery. Who knows what the deal is, but whatever the deal is, we can help you out. If you need a little help, just give me a shout and we'll log on for you and get that going. Secondly, just a reminder that this coming Saturday, March 20th at 5 p.m. right here in the sanctuary, Marianne and Ames Anderson will be performing a Zoom evening. It's called a Saturday Soiree. You're all invited. The website, the link will be in the newsletter. It should be a lovely hour, hour and a half of Ames and Marianne's music. And while you're watching, you can also, there'll be a thing to click on to make donations to the congregation. So that's this coming Saturday, March 20th at 5 p.m., a Saturday soiree with Marianne and Ames.
Thank you, Andy. And Randy, you also had an announcement. And you're muted.
Yes, I do. Okay. Just a short while ago, John Loring made a suggestion that we should have engaged at the start of these Zoom services almost a year ago. So starting next Sunday, please have with you your own personal chalice to light as we light the chalice here in the sanctuary each Sunday. Then toward the end of the service, extinguish your chalice as we extinguish the one here. In this way, we can be more connected as a community, both symbolically and spiritually. A flame within the chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. And remember, candle safety first. Please make sure you are lighting and snuffing the candle in your chalice in a safe manner. And a reminder, the worship committee is still looking for volunteers to read a sermon on a Sunday in August when we feature our Summer Sermons by Other People series. We wish to have folks outside of our committee to do the readings this year. So if you are interested and have a sermon in mind or need help finding one, please let me know or committee member know as soon as possible. Thanks.
Thank you, Randy. And I'm sure everybody else's arms are getting tired from having your hands up so long. Janet, if you would like to unmute yourself and make your announcement, or Treva.
Yeah, it's actually Treva. So good morning, everyone. Just a friendly reminder, tomorrow night we do have a board meeting at 5 o'clock. If you'd like to attend, please email either me or Andy and we will send you that Zoom invite. Thank you.
Thank you, Treva. Marianne, if you would please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy, for talking about Saturday. I've just recently made an executive decision, and I hope everybody is okay with this. For our concert on Saturday night, I'm going to offer a challenge, and I think I would like this challenge to go to the scholarship committee. I'm going to put up $250, and I'd like to see people meet that $250, at least so that we can put another 500 toward the scholarship, young people who are so worthy. They've had such a hard time. So come to the concert, enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and see if we can meet my challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Lou, would you unmute yourself and make your announcement?
Yes, thank you. Men's group meets tomorrow by Zoom at 10 o'clock. Also, a comment on what Andy said. The lottery system works very well. I signed up for it the first day and got an appointment by 2 days later. So I encourage people to get it done.
Thank you, Lou. Dolores, would you please unmute yourself and make your announcement?
Yes. I just want to say that the operations committee meeting is on Tuesday. So at 6 o'clock. So please attend. And if you want to attend and you're not a member, please send me an email. And that's assuming that Diane and I are feeling fine because we're getting our second COVID shot on Monday. So hope to see you there. Bye.
Thank you. That are those, oh. I'm sorry, I thought I heard somebody saying something. That's it for all of our announcements. Back to you, Diane.
Thank you, Susan. Next week, the same Susan you just heard from, Susan Landau, will present Tabula Rasa, Becoming New. Sharing together some of our personal and significant joys and concerns brings us closer as a faith community. We invite you to share the milestones that are deeply felt as a part of your personal life. But please be mindful and considerate of all who come to worship with us this morning. This is a time of community building. The collective flames of these candles also embody all the joys and sorrows which may have gone unspoken today, but are deeply felt in this community. Our first reading is by Richard Rohr. How am I ready to surrender? I believe profoundly in the necessity of surrender, but I don't think we can chart its course ahead of time. Our own private salvation projects seldom do the job. Surrender is something that is done to us more than something we do to ourselves. In Joseph Campbell's book, On the Hero's Journey, he says that the only way to be a hero is to prepare and be ready for when the moment comes. You might say that is the point of all spirituality. Someone else must determine the timing, the circumstances, the shape of the ordeal. None of us can engineer our own transformation, or it would not be transformation at all, but merely cosmetic surgery to make us think well of ourselves. You can't choose ahead of time which dragon you'll slay or how you will slay it. It will probably slay you. So just make sure you are well practiced in dying. I invite us to close our eyes and get comfortable in our seats as we move into this time of silent reflection and contemplation. As we breathe a few nice deep breaths together, we quiet our minds, we let go of the concerns of the day, the week behind us, and the week ahead of us, and we simply follow the empty breath. Richard Rohr asserts his belief in the necessity of surrender, of letting go. As we move gently into our communal silence, we also move into a space of surrender to that which is beyond our control, and we open ourselves to a peace that just may be waiting for us there. Please come back now. Our second reading will be read by Michael Esselin.
This is a poem by Mary Oliver called In Blackwater Woods. Look, The trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it. And when the time comes to let it go, to let it go.
The anthem today is Here's to Life by Artie Butler and Phyllis Molinari, and will be sung by Mary Schwalbe and Jan Kalmner.
No complaints and no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets. For I have learned that all you give is all you get. So give it all you've got.
I've had my share, I drank my fill, and even though I'm satisfied, I'm hungry still to see what's down the other road beyond a hill and do it all again.
So here's to life and every joy it brings. Here's to life, to dreamers and their dreams.
Funny how the time just flies, how love can go from warm hellos to sad goodbyes and leave you with the memories you memorize to keep your winters warm.
For there's no yes in yesterday, and who knows what tomorrow brings or takes away. As long as I'm still in the game, I'm gonna play for laughs, for life, for love. So here's to life and every joy it brings. Here's to life, to dreamers and their dreams. May all your storms be weathered,
And all that's good get better.
here's to life, here's to love, and here's to you.
Here's to life, here's to love, and here's to you.
Thank you, Mary and Jan. That was beautiful. Today's sermon is titled Loss, Holding On, and Letting Go, to be delivered by Michael Esselin. Michael Esselin serves as the chaplain for the Simsman UCLA Center for Integrative Oncology. Two-time TEDx speaker, Michael speaks extensively to healthcare professionals, patient populations and faith communities across the country. He's also worked as an active educator, addressing anti-LGBTQ bias in the larger community for over 30 years. Michael was recently inducted into the UCLA Semel Institute Eudaimonia Society in recognition of having lived a meaning-driven life. He has 4 volumes of CDs available for purchase. Contact Michael Esselin through his website, www.michaelesselin.com. And now, Michael Esselin.
Good morning. The well-known Buddhist author and teacher Pema Chodron offers us this in her book, When Things Fall Apart. I used to have a sign pinned to my wall that read, "Only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over to annihilation can that which is indestructible be found in us." It was all about letting go of everything. I invite you to think about 4 or 5 things that make you who you are, that if anyone's going to know you at all, they're going to know these 4 or 5 things about you, that you're a talented artist, you're a gifted athlete, you're passionate about politics or your faith community, you're a devoted grandparent. Maybe you're known for your beautiful physique and your great head of hair. That would be me. Imagine none of that is true anymore, or not in the same way. Who would you even be then? Is there an essential you who dwells beneath all those labels to which we would attach ourselves, all those hats we might wear? What's more, is he or she worthy of love? Is he or she capable of giving love? As painful as it may be to pursue those questions, they do reflect the most profound spiritual journey through loss, toward essence, if you will, that which is indestructible. It's a journey that so many cancer patients must take in a compressed, accelerated kind of fashion, watching piece by piece of one's identity slip away. If I'm no longer the super mom who never misses a soccer game or a birthday party, who would I even be then? Would I even still be the mom? The thing is, it's a journey we all must take. Life affords us each that guarantee that we will all lose everything. Everything that we are, everything that we have, everything that we love. How do we make peace with that? Is it even possible? I sometimes wonder if one key to living a successful life dwells within our capacity to come to peace with the inevitability of loss. What's more, might that peace even be a kind of gift, a blessing, giving us a glimpse every now and then of that which is indestructible? The Buddhists would caution us against grasping, holding on, to be well practiced at letting go, that reaching, grasping, clinging are sure pathways to suffering. As an illustration, we only have to look at how so many of us are coping with this unfolding pandemic. How long is this going to go on? I just want my old life back. When can we get back to normal? I'm an avid swimmer. I swim every day. I remember a year ago, last March, when my gym announced that because of the virus, they would be closing for up to 2 weeks. 2 weeks? I can't live without the pool for 2 weeks. Oh, really? Just wait. I hear similar sentiments sometimes from newly diagnosed cancer patients. I just want my old life back. Can't we just go back to 5 weeks ago before all this ever happened? There's a kind of paradox, I think, that while yes, holding on can lead to suffering, I find there's also life force in it, in the reaching, in the yearning, in the striving. Chemo infusion clinics are filled with folks who have signed up for guaranteed suffering, for the possibility of more time, more life. Universities are filled with students investing in, striving for, creating a future. When we're young, the future is almost a member of the family. a character in our own biography. Look at how much attention and intention we invest in the future. It shapes almost every decision we make. As we get older, possibility diminishes right along with the future. And the past becomes a far richer member of the family. Memories, stories that can soothe us, bring us peace, stories that help us explain ourselves to ourselves, or stories that might just as soon haunt us. But either way, stories that offer the possibility of meaning. In the saddest irony of all, some of us will even lose those in time. How do we make peace with that? Is there any meaning at all to be found in all that we will lose? I'm not so arrogant as to think I have any answers at all. What I have are stories, both my own and those of countless patients I've walked beside, patients whom I would just as soon call my teachers. And I also have a growing faith at this stage of my life that growing closer, drawing closer toward any paradox, holding the space for two competing realities to be true, might just offer a pathway to peace, if not wisdom. April was a great gal, mid-40s, vibrant, professional, a wife, a mom, two great kids. She had this exceedingly rare, exceedingly lethal cancer diagnosis that also happened to be horribly disfiguring. The doctors gave her that awful assessment, nothing more to be done. She greeted that news with this kind of clarity and profundity. Michael, I'm dying. I know that. It's the truth. But you know what? It's only one truth of many truths. Her openness to that statement, her willingness for it to shape the remainder of her days, was truly something to behold. And there are those who cling so valiantly to those one or two aspects of one's identity that without them, life simply wouldn't be worth living. That clinging actually keeps them going. There's the passionate college professor who, by any reasonable standard, should never have been in a classroom, given how immunocompromised she was and how weak and frail she was. But even her oncologist saw the truth of her situation. I see this as who you are. You've got to be a teacher. So go teach. Just be careful, okay? I remember years ago meeting a young woman, a young mother in her 30s in the hospital, not long before she died. At the time I met her, she was busy keeping a journal, writing letters to her then 13-year-old daughter to be read well into the future. Oh, that's so beautiful, I said. I'm glad you're doing it. No, it's not, she said. I'm just nagging her into the future. Still just being a mom to the very end. Sometimes it might even be an object that we cling to with such defiance as some kind of touchstone, some remnant of this identity we just can't release. Maybe an old army uniform, maybe an old wedding dress, maybe an old ID badge from a long gone career. Over the last few years of my mom's life, she was acutely aware that things would be wrapping up soon. And so she took to earnestly cleaning out, clearing away every drawer, cabinet, closet in her house, letting go so we wouldn't have to. When death finally came, things had been pretty much sifted down to the bare essentials, except for boxes and boxes, acres and acres of family photos, cards, letters, a few tattered newspapers with historic headlines, JFK assassinated, that sort of thing. That last Saturday that we were packing up what was left of my mom's life, I made a final pass through her bedroom closet, and in the darkness, high in the corner on the top shelf, I saw this dusty old hat box. How had we missed that? I pulled it out and opened it up. I couldn't believe my eyes. And I felt this searing stab of grief and of wonder. It was the hat. This hat that had become legendary in my memory. Her Donna Reed hat, I called it. She looked just like her when she wore it. It was a little pillbox covered in champagne silk leaves, each one tipped with a little seed pearl. She bought the hat, I remember, to go with a light blue brocade suit that she would wear to her best friend Janet's second wedding in Las Vegas, maybe 1962 or so. My mom was quite the glamorous dresser in her day. Earlier that afternoon, in fact, we had come upon the photo of the wedding party in the original folder from the Desert Inn. There my mom and dad were seated at the table, looking so young, so handsome, so beautiful. I also knew that under the table were the most stunning pair of gold lame pointed toe stiletto pumps. I had always been fascinated with my mom's high heels, obsessed, really. Even I knew better than to mess with those. But here it was, the hat. She had kept it. We had reminisced often about those years, even about that outfit, but she never let on that she had kept the hat. For decades and decades and decades, after letting go, saying goodbye to everything and everyone else, she kept that hat. Why? Did she need it as some kind of touchstone, as proof that that time was real, that that aspect of her was still true? Unwilling to surrender this last souvenir. It leads me to wonder, what object will I cling to for no sensible reason, as some kind of placeholder for some version of myself I will always want to claim as true, as a part of me? I don't know. David Foster Wallace says that everything I let go of has my claw marks on it. And there are those who adapt quite well to loss, adapting to a new identity or a new version of the old one. Randy was a great guy in his mid-50s, had very advanced colon cancer. I had so many wonderful conversations with him over the last couple years of his life. Not long before he died, I was walking him out of the clinic and we were still chatting when we got out in the hallway. Up walks another patient, gingerly making her way to the entrance of the clinic. She's on a walker. Randy says, "Just a minute, Michael." And he goes and he holds the door for her with a big smile on his face. "There you go, sweetheart." And he came back to me and he said, "You see there, Michael, the way I see it, that's my job now. To be kind. That's what I do." Now, cancer had robbed him of so much, but it hadn't taken away that career opportunity. He had been in a career that was animated by struggle and competition, commercial real estate. It had all been refined and distilled now down to one who shows kindness. That's what he does. Cancer did not take away that opportunity. It didn't take away that place to still find meaning. Kate, in her early 60s, was diagnosed with a recurrence of breast cancer, now stage 4. She was a spiritual seeker, an artist, a musician. She played cello in a local chamber orchestra. While raised an Episcopalian, she converted to Judaism much later in life, but not because of marriage or some such conventional reason, but because she said, "I love the humor in Judaism. And besides, there's no hell." She also loved the questioning nature inherent in Jewish study. Although any articulation about who or what is God, how does prayer work, what happens after we die, was simply left undefined, because she experienced her spirituality in community, playing music in community, praying in community. She didn't pray when she was alone. She also shared with me that she had been a survivor of childhood sexual assault, an experience that left deep wounds, to be sure, but not the least of which was a crippling fear of dying. And the essence of that fear, Michael, what if I just disappear? There it is, ultimate loss, disappearance. I asked Kate if she'd ever had what any of us might call a peak spiritual experience. "Oh, yes," she said, "playing a big, lush piece of music like Handel's Messiah. I got to play that once in Cleveland, full chorus orchestra, the works. It was transcendent to be in the center of the creation of all of that music. Kate, you just told me that your biggest fear was that you would disappear. And yet your peak spiritual experience was one in which you disappear, if you will, into the creation of that music. It can't possibly be about you and your cello. And yet without that cello, the music would not have been the same. What if dying is like that? What if the other side is like that? Surrendering into this larger harmonic reality in which our voice is an inextricable piece of the whole. She sighed into that. She exhaled into that. Sometimes we might need to just summon our imagination to come up with new metaphors, new images, when the fear of loss can just be immobilizing. I love to hike. And for decades, I have made a nearly annual pilgrimage to Yosemite because there's one hike there that has simply given me my life back more times than I can count. There's no other way to put it, often times of great distress. About a dozen years ago, I came upon such a time. Devastation, really. A spiritual crisis, in fact, which I would define as a time of great loss. Everything that I had believed in and trusted collapsed right out from under me. At first, I thought maybe I ought to go to Yosemite, do that hike, try to climb out of it, transcend it. But it just didn't feel right. The more I thought, you've always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon, hike to the bottom, never seen it, not getting any younger. What if I were to climb down into the sorrow, into the pain, into the earth, rather than try to climb out of it, see what might be there for me? So that's what I did. For any of you that have ever made that descent, you know how staggering it is. And the wisdom that came to me was so clear, clean, precise. The Grand Canyon is only grand because of what's been lost. Not because of one thing that's been added, one particle of soil at a time, letting go, releasing itself to the water over the span of 5 million years, incomprehensible, swept away by something so simple as water. I spent that night at the Phantom Ranch at the bottom of the canyon. It's a charming, historic, albeit Spartan compound, dormitory-like cabins, communal dining room. That night, the lovely fellow who served us dinner asked for our attention before we dug in. He wanted to offer some kind of blessing or invocation. My friends, I want to welcome you here. And while you're here, I hope you take time to be still, be quiet, and feel the power of this place, the sacredness of it, the majesty of it. It's like Jerusalem or Mecca for the native people. He went on to say, and no matter how hard it was for you to hike down here today, hiking up tomorrow is going to be so much easier. And of course, there were incredulous groans from around the table. Yeah, right. And if not, he said, rejoice, rejoice, you got no choice. I love that. I come back to it again and again as a kind of mantra. Rejoice, rejoice, you got no choice. What if, like the Grand Canyon, we are being carved out for our grandeur, hollowed out by loss, so that on our descent we might catch a glimpse of that which is indestructible? Sure, let's savor each vista, cherish each moment, hold on, you bet. But with the lightest touch, and a willingness at any moment to let go. Except perhaps for that one thing. So be it.
Thank you, Michael. Deeply heartfelt and beautifully expressed. Normally, at this time, we receive offerings from our congregants. However, due to the virtual format of this service, we invite you to make your offering in one of the methods shown on the slideshow. Please keep in mind that our congregation is entirely self-governed by the democratic process. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all of the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and our institutional well-being. You are invited to participate in the blessing of giving by sending us an offering. Thank you. Thank you, Jan. Our thanks for all gifts given and received and for the work of this community. Let us now sing the doxology.
From all that dwell below the skies, let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land, by every tongue.
Please join in singing the closing hymn, I Am Willing, by Holly Near.
I am open and I am willing, for to be homeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before. dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion, and give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder, and give me an ocean to hold my tears. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. So lift me up to the light of change.
Before we recite the validation, apologies for having a few issues with getting the pictures up, but we will continue anyway. All right, let us now recite the valediction. We extinguish the flame of this chalice, and we know the light of truth and love and the warmth of this community go with us until we meet again. After the benediction, please click on the gallery view button in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, but please remain muted. Susan will call on you when you raise your Zoom hand. Michael, the benediction.
I invite us to perhaps close our eyes right now, and let's take a few nice deep breaths together. Breathing in the love, the intention, the commitment of this community to come together and connect despite all that there is now to separate us physically. As we exhale, can we release the light and the radiance of our coming together, not only back to one another, but to the larger circles of life? Let's even stretch our arms out right now where you are and imagine our embrace of each other and those larger circles of life, getting a sense of our connectedness in a place beyond time and space, despite the physical isolation of this moment. As we breathe into that embrace, can we also embrace that part of us that really wished for something else, something other than what we've got? That part of us that does not want to let go. Can we extend tender compassion to that part of ourselves, even as life pulls much that we may love from our grasp? May we find peace in that delicate balance between holding on and letting go. So be it.